Sebastian ROADHOUSE. The content I'm going to play is from a few months ago. The video released of Katie Proudfoot and the child at the Texas Roadhouse restaurant. And my topic is, where did they go after they left the restaurant? Did they both return home together? If not, where did they go? On my community page, I have a few questions I've put up. Feel free to go over there to take those polls, and I'm going to read those before I play this content by Court TV. Do you foresee an upcoming arrest of parent, step-parent in the disappearance of Sebastian ROADHOUSE? 59% said yes, 25% no, 10% not sure, 6% says later down the road. Did Sebastian ROADHOUSE arrive home with Katie after dining at the steakhouse? Once again, neck to neck. 59% said yes, he returned home. 19% of you said no, and 22% of you said you're not sure. So 59% of you see an arrest coming soon, and 59% of you do believe he made it home. Well, if he made it home, what happened? Will the case be solved? 58% yes, 27% no, 15% not sure. It's almost a year to the date that the child went missing. TBI, Sumner County, do they have leads? 61% yes, 18% no, 21% not sure. Once again, is the child alive or deceased? 8% says alive, 74% says the child is not alive, 19% say they are not sure. On Wednesday, you will hear an interview with Katie Proudfoot by the local news station. What will she have to say? And why will she be speaking, considering she has not spoken in several months pertaining to the disappearance of her child? Matter of fact, she hasn't spoken publicly since the Nancy Grace interview, to my knowledge. Was Christopher Proudfoot home 25th, 26th, or shall I say the entire weekend? 73% yes, 9% no, 18% not sure. If Sebastian ROADHOUSE was unalive by Katie and or Chris, was it accidental or intentional? 25% says accident, 56% says intentional, 19% of you said you are not sure. Please check out my previous live streams pertaining to Sebastian ROADHOUSE. I'm discussing him because on Wednesday it will mark 1 year that his mother and stepfather called the dispatch to say that the child was missing. I will be doing another live in a few hours after this one. And that live is going to be pertaining to Sheriff Craddock's comment around the time of the child's birthday, that he has information but cannot release it to the public as not to prejudice the case. That will be live number 2. But in this live, we're going to discuss, did Sebastian and Katie go directly home after Texas Roadhouse? Now, mind you, in my last live, I said I didn't notice anything about Katie, her behavior in the restaurant, because it's been a few months since I last watched the video. But when you watch this content, there are a few things, yes, that do stick out. She's disengaged. The child appeared hungry, and she was looking around. And we're going to discuss that. Why was she looking around? Was somebody else in the steakhouse? Had somebody followed them there? I don't believe in conspiracies and all that other type of whack stuff. But could this be, as I said before, planned? And she's looking around to see if people notice her, watching her. Could that be the reason she was looking around? Or is she just a nosy Karen? She just likes to look around, look at the people. Maybe she was bored, trying to get her day on because she knew what was coming. Stay woke, everybody. Welcome to the Vault XL, Court TV.
Sebastian Rogers and the last known video of him before he disappeared. Security cameras caught Sebastian eating dinner with his mother at a Texas Roadhouse in Hendersonville, Tennessee, the day before he vanished. His mother was seen taking photos of him and then sending them to somebody. Now, looking at this video, it's kind of hard to believe he hasn't been seen since then, but that is the case. Sebastian vanished from his mother's home on February 26th. His father says he still has hope he'll be found.
The goal is still the same. Find Sebastian. He needs to be found and brought home to a home that loves him.
Sebastian's 16th birthday was last weekend, and police say that they're still actively investigating this case, and they're not deeming it a cold case as of now. I have a special guest I want to welcome onto the program now. You know her and love her, retired FBI Special Agent Jennifer Coffindeffer. She also, by the way, has her own brand new YouTube show called Break the Case. It is awesome. Be sure to check it out. Jennifer, good morning to you. You were one of the first people to follow this case. I love following you on Twitter, and I remember seeing you were doing the missing person tweets, as you always do, and have continued to follow every single development. Looking at this, as it is hard to not have emotion in it because your heart just breaks for this family, this teenager. Where do you think the investigation is likely to go from here? Does it go anywhere?
Well, Julie, looking at this tape, and I've had it for so long, I just didn't release it until it was released by others. But essentially what I was looking for were the reactions of the mom, of course, Sebastian's actions. One of the things, a couple of things I noticed is his eating style, I thought was very interesting. It was like he hadn't been fed in a week. I'm not saying he hadn't been fed in a week. I'm just saying the way he eats was very, aggressive. He was just constantly eating. What I also noticed from the mother was her staring around, looking around, almost like she was on surveillance for someone. In addition, she was on her phone such a large percentage of the time, seemingly not really engaged with Sebastian. These were just a couple of takeaways. Julie, I also looked at the people around. Was anybody watching them? And there's...
I'm going to interject there. We learned from Mr. Proudfoot many moons ago that the child had a healthy appetite. So is it just perhaps the child has a very healthy appetite? The mother said he ate a colossal size of popcorn that day. Is it just the child eats a lot? He's a growing boy, still a boy. So one could say he has a high metabolism, eats a lot, but he doesn't gain weight. As you can see here, he's not a very big person for his age at that time. But then we go to the mother, disengaged on her phone, but you see a lot of that with people nowadays. They're in their phones. They don't engage in conversation much, which, defeats the purpose of being out. That's the purpose of going out with people, is to talk, have a good time. But, why not engage with your kid? As I said, was this the start of a finish, if you get my drift? We're out for the last time, a last hoorah. Was this a planned crime to get rid of an autistic boy child? As you see her looking around when they slow motion this video, it's intense when you watch it. She's looking to her right, then slowly turns around, looks over her shoulder to the left. Katie Proudfoot, what were you looking for? Who were you looking for? Were you expecting somebody else to join you? Had somebody say something to you out of the way? Were you looking for a waiter, waitress? Who were you looking for? Or was she not looking for anybody? She's just being nosy. But you have to admit, it is a very strange look. To the right, intently, back over the shoulder to the left. Now, some might watch this and say, well, maybe she was followed. Well, why not call your husband? So did she call her husband during this visit? I don't think so. Did she alert anybody in the restaurant, such as the manager? She felt threatened or felt somebody followed her or said something to her out of the way in the restaurant, outside in the parking lot, or on the street followed her? We haven't heard of that.
There's other film footage that I've personally viewed that might give some credence to somebody else watching.
What is that?
That's interesting.
What is that?
That's really interesting, Jen. And thank you for pointing that out, because as I'm watching it, and look, I'm not an investigator as you are, it was the first thing that jumped out was her head's going every which way. She's sitting there with her son, and like you said, she's not engaging him. And back up and reiterate to digest this more. In what you've seen other people looking at them too. Did it seem like they were trying to find each other? Like, is she looking for someone, I wonder? What do you think, Jennifer?
Well, yes, in other footage that I've seen, I haven't released it. It's not for me to release. But I think that there may be some questions now regarding somebody possibly looking at them, certainly not acting appropriate. And I'm sure that will be released soon. And when you put...
Well, it hasn't been released. What it has been is just a lot of people gossiping about people outside, a guy in a green hoodie, so on and so forth. So, as I said before, a lot of these people probably weren't pleased with seeing their images on a YouTube video released, now Court TV, because they were out dining and minding their business. And some people might take offense to people showing these videos, like, well, why are you showing this video? What do we have to do with what was going on with this lady and her kid? Okay? So, Coffee Dapper, what do you have as that could show credence to this commentary here? What have you seen to make you think that somebody was watching Katie Proudfoot or watching her child, or both? Because in the end, this woman claims that her child was not in his bed that early morning on the 26th, on a Monday, school day. And no one broke into the house. No windows were broken. No doors were breached, broken in, kicked in. Allegedly, the child left the way she portrays the story. So once again, we still have to ask the question about security. Cameras inside of the house, cameras on the outside. Haven't heard any mention of any cameras. Allegedly, she worked for a security company. So you have to ask all those questions. You're living in a house worth $641,000, allegedly, but you don't have security? Just saying. You have to weigh all the options. Do they have security cameras now? Most people say, hell, would it matter? Who cares now? The child's gone. But you have to ask all the questions. Who was she looking for? Was she looking for someone? Was she expecting another relative or somebody to meet her? Allegedly, they were out with relatives and friends or whomever that day. So was she expecting somebody else to stop by? But they didn't stop by. Because in the end, we see her leaving the restaurant with her child only. And nobody else joins them during this dinner. But as I said, it's just a jump off to a child getting missing. A planned event by Katie Proudfoot and her husband, or Katie Proudfoot alone. Took him there. I'm nervous about what I'm about to do. I'm looking around to see who's looking, who's watching. See, you don't know, because we don't even know what happened to the kid. We just know these people have been suspicious acting since reporting the child missing.
Put it in conjunction with how Katie Proudfoot is acting, it just adds up to something that doesn't make a lot of logical sense.
Sure. Jennifer, this has me wondering, did he even go back to the house?
Exactly.
Do we have any confirmation that he ever made it back to the house? Because he's said to have, he's reported missing from the house, supposedly in the middle of the night, wanders off. And now I'm just wondering about that. I'm curious what your thoughts are on this, please.
Well, I think, unfortunately, we're so reliant on what Katie Proudfoot has to say.
Exactly.
She's the last person to see him. She's the only one with him. She's the one that makes the report. We're so reliant on that. I've also found it very interesting, that she works for a video recording company, and meaning, home security type company. And yet we have no home security footage.
Bingo card.
That we know of.
Bingo card.
Sebastian Rogers coming, going. There's
exactly.
very little, let me say.
Exactly.
And I've always found that very much to be an oxymoron, Julie.
Sure. And we know that Sebastian had special needs. We know that he was living with autism and needed some extra care in the home. A great point you just made, Jennifer. Perhaps it would be helpful even to have more eyes on him throughout more times of the day if he's not in your direct line of sight. So do you know if they even had any video cameras established in the home at all?
I think there were video cameras established outside the home. As far as inside the home, I have not read or heard any legitimate, data regarding that. But again, this just makes little sense to me regarding the fact that he had autism. I understand he wasn't a wanderer per se, but this is something that persists with people that are on the spectrum. We see it every week, somebody leaving their home and sadly being found in a body of water. And so if you have those utilities available to you, why wouldn't you utilize them?
Exactly.
Exactly. Great.
So was the child a wanderer? Had the child ever wandered away? Our information from the parents, he was not a wanderer, never ran away from home. Is that true? The main question is, did the child make it home? As you hear this commentator speaking in this broadcast, hell, with everything going on, looking at the mother's behavior, did the child make it home? And as Coffin Daffer said, everything is banking on Miss Proudfoot's commentary. And the one thing we've learned with true crime cases where there is foul play, that's how it starts, is a he said and a she said. I went over here, I did this, we did this. I walked into the room, the child was missing, blah, blah, blah. But that's a version. Does not mean that's the truth. We have no idea if this woman ever made it home. So the next video I'm going to bring you, what is the information that Mr. Craddock, Sheriff Craddock has that he won't release to the public? Because if they have cameras or had cameras in their home at the time outside, then why don't we see a camera of her pulling into the driveway, going into the driveway, and then to the garage? So you got to ask that question as well. Did she park in the driveway or did she park in the garage? And naturally, she parked inside of the garage. You're not going to have footage of her or the child getting out. Bingo card. Were cameras removed from outside or dismantled, shut down deliberately for a ruse to get rid of a child? So you got a lot of questions to ask. Will we find out there's CCTV footage of her coming home by a neighbor? See, those things you're not going to get released until you get a grand jury indictment and then they decide to charge someone, and then you'll get all of that said information. And as I've learned in covering cases of dealing with children and other people, adults, that's usually when you find out everything, or let's say bits and pieces of a story. That what you thought you knew, you didn't know. As I told you with the Cal City case, district attorney was building a case the entire time for a year while we were twiddling our thumbs wondering what the hell was going on. They were building a case against the parents. They had evidence against the parents. They had testimony from the children, hearing a thud in a bathroom. Next thing they know, they said they never saw a child again with the two small boys. They moved to the house with only one of the kid. Then the next thing they know, the next kid, he's gone. Neighbors' surveillance showing parents getting in a van with only 4, but yet you have 6 children. You see where I'm going? I think Sheriff and TBI, they do have something. They're just not releasing it. And then 2, they don't have a body. And some jurisdictions may prefer to have a body, but we have seen cases that went to trial without a body.
Great points from you, as always. Jennifer Coffin-Deffer, we'd love to continue the conversation with you about this. That's all the time we have for today. But my friends at home, do yourself a favor. Follow Jen on Twitter. Follow her show on YouTube. Check it out. You will love it. Such great interviews and insight always. Jennifer.
All right, everybody. That's Miss Coffin-Deffer. Let's go back to look at Katie Proudfoot. Okay? Katie Proudfoot, what were you looking at? She's very intense. Look at her look. Look at her gaze. What were you looking for? Were you expecting someone else to join you for dinner with your child? See, I always tell people to pay attention to the details, because a lot of things you're not going to get from law enforcement, you're not going to get from anyone. It's a matter of what is available to give you as far as CCTV footage, so on and so forth. You understand what I'm saying? But this is interesting, nonetheless. But then the flip side is that we've learned that you can't read everything into things of a person turning their head from right to left, looking around, because there's been times I've been places I've looked around, maybe not so intensely, but looking over my shoulder and looking around. I'm trying to eat my food and enjoy my food. But this is a very interesting video of a woman looking over. You can see she's extending her neck. Now she's turning around behind her. So she's really looking around. I'm looking over here. I'm still looking around. And then I turn my head to the left to look over my shoulder. Yeah, that's quite spooky. Let's get a caption of that. Katie Proudfoot, what were you doing? Did Sebastian make it home with Katie Proudfoot? That's the title of this video. If they didn't make it home, where did they go? Because we have not heard of any other CCTV footage or sightings of the mother and the child. And as I said to you before, you're not going to get that information even if it's available, because it's a current investigation, and that's expected. And I'm going to bring you content in a couple of hours pertaining to Sheriff Craddock's commentary 2 months ago around the time of Sebastian's birthday, that he has something, but he will not release it to the public as not to prejudice the case. So when you say prejudice the case, that means it can only be one or the other. It can exonerate the family or make the family look guilty. Checkmate. And that's that. Very interesting. Now, rewatching this, my radar is on. But the one thing I have learned is that sometimes what you think is going on ain't going on. But I'm going to go with this just because of what I've seen from the parents thereafter. Their interview with the news, Nancy Grace, YouTube. These people are very suspicious to me, Katie and Christopher. I don't care for them as human beings. I don't like their behavior. I don't like the way they talk bad about the child on social media and YouTube. I don't like the fact that they ran to YouTubers talking about the child. I don't like all that panel hopping and allegedly, pretending to be somebody else in the chats and fake profiles. This is not behavior conducive of somebody that, one, is decent. Number two, cares for their child. The fact they never went to any vigils pertaining to the child. They have not been out passing out flyers, talking to the public, talking to news broadcasts, talking to radio stations, talking to the schools. That's what you do when you have a missing child. I've seen people navigate for their missing loved one, advocate for their missing loved one. You don't advocate, that sends a red flag to people. Something is not right. Now, I remember a case out of South Carolina many years ago. I covered it. Please check out my library, because I have an extensive library of 3,000 plus videos. Hell yeah, I'm tooting my horn. A little white girl went missing. They closed off the streets. They did the right thing. The police, they weren't playing. They did the right thing. They cut the street off. And you rarely see that in a missing persons case. They cut the street off. You weren't leaving, you weren't coming in. And that's something you rarely hear. I have never heard of it, matter of fact. But they cut the street off and they walked that street house for house for house, townhouse for townhouse. And they found that kid, okay? They found that kid stuffed in a fucking garbage can by someone who lured her into their apartment. A young guy lured her. He had a roommate. The roommate was gone. I think the roommate was at work. He lured the little girl into his apartment. Long story short, you have to watch your children. Mother said she was outside playing. Little girl was out there for an hour. She goes back out there to look for the little girl. She's gone. You have to watch your children. We live in a world where you're going to have to watch your children. You can't bank on your kid just outside playing, especially toddlers, young children. You got to watch them. And a lot of people don't want to watch their children. They just open the door, let the kids push the door open, go outside, play, boom. That's it. But that's the whole point of life, that once you're outside your door, you are on your own. I don't care if you're a child, you're an adult. You are on your own once you walk outside your place. That's anybody. So she's vulnerable. She's a kid. They're thinking she's in the yard, but she's a child. She wandered. She's curious. She's a child. And has she ever done that before? I don't know. But the point is, she did. And she ended up dead. Okay? Sexually assaulted and murdered and stuffed in a garbage can. The point is, as I said, you have to watch your children. You trust no one. No one is safe around children. Friend, family, foe, don't matter. You got to view everybody the same when it comes to children. Now, this case here, you have a mother acting weird, suspicious. She's looking over her shoulder very intensely. Would draw, suspicions from other people. Like, what the fuck's she looking at? People in the restaurant might have been looking. What are you looking at me for? As I said before, you're filming these people outside, they're minding their business. You're putting them on YouTube videos, and I'm sure they didn't appreciate it. And as we heard, the hoodie guy, all those people were probably vetted in the beginning. Went and found these people, talked to these people. People probably called in, hey, I was there. I think I saw that lady at the steakhouse. This is what I noticed, didn't notice. So let's ask that question. Anybody that was at the steakhouse, did they call police to say they noticed something strange of the behavior of the child, the mother, somebody else? Okay? Don't know. Because that's the whole point. You're not going to hear any of that shit unless the people go to the news and say, hey, I was at the restaurant. The mother was acting strange. I saw her talking to this guy. I saw her talking to this lady. Even when I went in the queue before going live, somebody put a video of a woman standing at the curb. You're looking at her. You have to be very careful about doing stuff like that. Just pointing the finger at anybody that was in the damn video. You don't know these people. You don't know what they were doing. Most of those people that were in there, they were there to eat and to work, not to have some espionage. But people want to make up stuff so badly because you don't know what happened to Sebastian, so you're just bent on making up shit. Hell yeah, she looks suspicious in here. I'm going to agree with that. But these other people, they're just innocent bystanders. You have to bring a receipt. You got to bring in that room, and anybody that was sitting outside, you got to bring a receipt that they're involved in any type of crime. This is the motherfucker you need to be looking at. This bitch here. That's who you need to be focused on. As Coffin Daffer said, the last person that was with the kid. That's who the fuck you need to be watching. That's who you need to be worried about. Her version. And you don't have any CCTV footage released to show at home with that kid. No neighbor has brought forward CCTV footage to say, hey, I got a tape showing her pulling in. She parked her car in the driveway, and she and the kid got out. They walked in the front door. We don't have any of that. Hello, Abe Alex. How are you? Haven't seen you in a while. Good morning, everybody. Well, Buffalo, I pray the same. Buffalo says, I think she was buying time on drug run. Buffalo, please. We don't have any proof drugs. Buffalo, y'all stop it with the green hoodie. Come on now. Don't you think if the green hoodie person was relevant, there would be an arrest by now? Come on. You all pick one person out of a video and say, oh, they're the culprit. They're the culprit. How are they the culprit? Maybe you all really don't watch true crime. If I'm getting ready to help somebody murder somebody, I'm not getting ready to show up where they are on a camera. There are cameras in the restaurant, outside of the restaurant. And you think I'm getting ready to show up? For what? What reason would I have to show up? I'm not getting ready to show up at no fucking restaurant and I'm getting ready to help somebody knock off a kid. You're not going to have me on fucking camera and then the next day you're going to wake up and say, 911, my baby's missing. So they're going to go back to the Texas Roadhouse. And what? Look at me? What? If you're going to have somebody get rid of a kid, you don't need to go to Texas Roadhouse. That's what a cell phone is for. That's what cell phones are for. Hey, meet me over here. Hey, meet me at the such and such. Hey, I'm going to pull off on this little road off of such and such street. I'm not getting ready to go to Texas Roadhouse to watch you if I'm involved in helping you get rid of your kid. I don't need to go to Texas Roadhouse. You're going to text me and tell me where the fuck to meet you. Come on, you guys, just stop it. Stop the nonsense. You just can't be picking out people in a restaurant and say, oh, I think they're involved. Oh, I think she's involved. I think she's involved. Only a fool would go to an open restaurant knowing they've got cameras inside. You didn't see anybody go over to her. You didn't see anybody go over to the kid. You didn't see anybody sit with them. You didn't see anybody approach them walking out. You didn't see anybody approach them coming in. Come on now. Let's just stop it. No, it's not hard to know anything. I'm a realist. And I know how people navigate. This ain't some old ghetto gangster shit where we're getting ready to approach Katie Proudfoot in the steakhouse and start fighting her. This ain't that type of party. I'm not getting ready to be on no fucking camera with Katie Proudfoot and I'm getting ready to help her do something with her kid. Hell no. I'm not getting ready to go to the steakhouse. What point would it be for me to go to the steakhouse? To do what? To sit there and watch them eat? Oh, I'm going to go sit 5 rows over at a table and order iced tea the whole time. As if that wouldn't stick out to somebody. Oh, yeah, there was some guy. He sat at a table by himself drinking iced tea the whole time. With a hoodie on. Come on. The point of this video is, did the child leave with Katie and make it home? That's my point. Did these two make it home? Because as Coffin Daffer said, which is like all true crime stories, all you're banking on is what the person said that was last with the victim, as you had with Megan Boswell. She changed her story, what, at least 4 times? Oh, he's in Louisiana with the father. Then it was, oh, my baby's with my mom. Oh, I rolled over on the baby and my boyfriend dumped the baby. Oh, you can go find, go check my daddy's property. Do you see where I'm going with this? It's the same game. You're banking on somebody's version. Hey, I woke up and he wasn't there. I'm going to say it again. Roughly 500 children are murdered by their mothers, fathers every year. Why would this case be any different? There's a case I'm going to bring you later that I don't really want to talk about. But there's a young girl dead 19 years of age, autistic, nonverbal, who's now dead because her mother abused her, and the two motherfuckers in the house lived there, grandma and uncle, claim they ain't seen her within weeks. The grandmama says, well, I ain't seen her in weeks. And the uncle says, the great uncle says, well, I ain't seen her in a year. And when they found her, there's an imprint of her body where she's been lying on a concrete floor for about 4 hours to 24 hours. Let me make that clear. No bed, just a mattress and some covers. Malnourished and had wounds on her body. So miss me with the green hoodie bullshit. Why you all can't accept the fact this motherfucker possibly killed her kid is a mystery to me. When children are murdered every fucking day by their parents, whether they're autistic or not, they don't want to be bothered with their fucking kids. They checked out. And the gist of the story, whether Seth was going to kill the kid or not, the fact they're talking about group homes, all that is relevant. This is why you have to follow the breadcrumbs. You're talking about putting a kid in a home, but yet you do an interview with the news and say, oh, he's a good kid. Well, if he's a good kid, why would you need him to go in a group home? Why was he going to go live with Seth? Because it goes back to what Coffin Daffer just said. You're going off of somebody's fucking version. I don't know this kid. I don't know what he's doing. For all I know, he could have been acting out, mad, throwing tantrums, kicking the wall. I don't know. Just like the autistic 19-year-old. She could have been kicking the wall, mad, hungry. You don't know because you're not there. But that ain't no right to kill no kid. Just like this guy, this YouTuber was saying in his video. Well, she's nonverbal. Hell, she's making some kind of sounds in her fucking room and ain't nobody paying no attention. Oh, I haven't seen her in a year. Well, where the hell you think she went? Oh, I ain't seen her in a couple of weeks. Once again, where do you think she was? You ain't asking the mother, hey, where's your daughter? Where's your nonverbal kid? I don't know. I don't know where she is. Oh, maybe she took a walk. Oh, for a whole year? She's still walking? What is it that you people can't understand? What is it about Katie Proudfoot you can't see this person as a murderer? You don't know her. You don't know her from a can of fucking paint. You don't know Christopher Proudfoot. You don't know Seth. You don't know none of these fucking people. The point is, there's a whole kid gone. And he ain't just walked away. He ain't just took no fucking walk in February without no shoes and no phone. He ain't had no friends. It ain't like he went joyriding. It ain't like they said, oh yeah, sometimes his friends would come over, pick him up, and take him to the ice cream shop. Oh yeah, he had friends that come pick him up, take him to the mall. Did you hear that? Because I haven't heard it. Where are this kid's friends? Where are his friends? Where are his friends? Where are the activities? Just like this guy said in his video with the autistic 19-year-old. Went to school, graduate. The mother could do whatever she want with her because she knows ain't nobody getting ready to check her ass about her kid. I'll just starve her to death and call 911 when I'm ready. Exactly. You don't know people. So I don't know why you all are so fucking fascinated with the idea that this woman can't be a fucking murderer. Seth told you this boy was not going to be navigating as an adult on his own. So that means this is a lifetime responsibility of a disabled adult. And maybe she and Christopher didn't want to be taking care of him. So what you have to ask yourself is, why would we be talking about a group home if he's getting ready to go live with his father? That's the farthest thing from your mind. Okay, he's getting ready to go live with his dad. Why are we trying to find group homes for a kid? Because she was tired of dealing with him. Accusations allegedly of child abuse by the step-parent, probably her too. And that's another thing none of you talk about. Who the fuck to say Katie wasn't beating this boy up, pushing him, shoving him, talking down to him? Because everybody's been putting it all on Christopher Proudfoot. Oh, no, 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 no. You better look at the beast. That's the beast. Besides Christopher Proudfoot. I'm woke. Are you woke? If you ain't woke, you better wake your ass up. That's her kid. She gave birth to that kid before Proudfoot even came on deck. She's the one that's been responsible for a kid that she left and went in the military for. You better wake up. This kid didn't meet her expectations, perhaps. Oh, I wanted a normal kid. I want a kid that's going to play the flute, the violin, that's going to be on the football team, the basketball team, run track. He ain't that kid. I'm stuck. I'm stuck with this kid. And I ain't trying to say that it's an easy job raising a disabled kid, because I don't know all the challenges that this kid had. But I know one thing, knocking them off, what's the point of that? When you could just, you could put him in a group home. You, Seth, didn't want the kid. Okay, we're going to make a collective decision to place this kid somewhere. We can't take care of him. We don't want to take care of him. I see it all the time. Anybody that follows this network knows I've worked with disabled adults. Okay? So I know the fucking routine. I've worked in group homes with adults that were disabled. I worked in a disabled group home, disabled men. Some left for the weekend with family, some didn't. The point I'm trying to make is everybody ain't cut out to take care of a disabled adult. Some don't want the fucking kid. They don't want to be bothered. And I try not to judge people harshly who decide that they don't want to take care of a disabled kid, because every disabled kid is not the same. Like one of the clients I had, he was very disruptive. He was very violent. He would spaz out. Most people probably couldn't deal with that. You have to know how to deal with that. And some people aren't cut out for that. That's why he was in the fucking group home. He was the youngest one in the group home. And I'd rather the person be in the group home than end up dead because somebody spazzed out and ended up hurting him. So that's why I'm trying to say it's not an easy job taking care of a disabled person, because each disabled person has a different level of a temperament. And then you got to count the temperament also of the person that's the provider. But it shouldn't lead to them missing. So as Coffin Daffer said, everything banks on Katie Proudfoot's version. Did she make it home with her son? Will there be somebody who can testify to say, yeah, she took that kid home. He made it to that address? Because if nobody can come forward and tell us he made it to that house, you got to ask, where did they go after the steakhouse? Checkmate. Well, they didn't put him in a group home, and she didn't want to deal with him. Bottom line, that's why he's not here. As I said in my last live stream, because I deal with this type of bullshit every day. This is why I can speak from experience. See, I'm not like a lot of people. A lot of you all speak from stuff that you don't know anything about. And I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm just keeping the shit real. You really can't speak about this when you ain't never dealt with it. So if you ain't never dealt with disabled people, you have an opinion. I'm just keeping the shit real. You got to know what it's like. Okay? You got to know what it's like. I see the shit every fucking day, as I told you all in the last live stream. People give disabled people apartments and they ain't got no business on their own. They can't take care of themselves. They're not bathing. They're not washing their hair. They're not cleaning themselves. They're leaving their keys in the door. And the parents come by whenever, bring groceries, take them shopping, that type of bullshit. Because they don't want to take care of them. They don't want to take care of them. Because it's a responsibility to take care of anybody. Whether it's your child, you take somebody in, whatever. But in the end, it's your responsibility because you decided to do it. If you realize it's not for you, then you need to do the responsible thing and say, well, you know what? This isn't working out. I don't have the patience. Make the right decision. Make the right decision. And some people do need help. They need outside resources. And some people are too ashamed to ask for help. Some people are too ornery to ask for help. So you see, everybody's mindset is different. But like I said, there's no reason to kill a person because there are resources out here. We have Adult Protective Services. We have DHS. Whenever you decide you can't carry the load, you're supposed to reach out to these people and say, hey, I need some help. I can't do this by myself. Hey, this isn't working out. I can't take care of this kid. I can't take care of this adult. Because in a few years, Sebastian was going to be an adult. And if shit wasn't right at 15, it wasn't going to be right at 18. And then he would have probably been a whole lot bigger, a whole lot stronger. And who the hell say what the fuck he could have been doing? He could have been start swinging at these people, punching them in their face. And then we got an all-out brawl with a bunch of adults in a house. So that's the question of the hour. Did this lady flake out and say, hey, I ain't waiting for Seth to do nothing. I ain't waiting on Seth. I ain't waiting on nothing. I want him out. I want my husband. My husband can't come to the house. You know, I don't know if that's true or not. He can't live here. She wanted her husband. I think Christopher Proudfoot was her top priority. And that's obvious from what we've seen. She don't even talk. She don't make a move. She wouldn't even talk to Seth after the fact. It's all about Christopher Proudfoot. He's the puppet master. She don't move or breathe without Christopher's permission, which is baffling to me. But there are a lot of women who live like this. And you have men who live like this too. They can't move, can't fucking make a bowel movement without getting the permission from their fucking spouse. I think at some point in raising this child, she realized this ain't getting better. This ain't what I signed up for. This ain't getting better. This ain't the kid I want. This ain't the kid I want to be taken care of. And I don't want to be taking care of this kid long term. And I think somewhere down the line, as Sebastian got older, you know, he could have been combative. He could have been talking back. He could have been saying things because, you know, they mentioned that he could talk woo-woo. They didn't like his commentary. And who's to say? One thing led to another. A push, a shove, a pinch, whatever. And then it becomes a daily occurrence. Now we got a bunch of people at odds with a kid. And the kid can't talk to tell the other parent, Seth, hey, I'm not happy at this house. Hey, I don't like the way they're treating me. They're not treating me well. Because we hear Seth saying that. He tried talking to him. He wouldn't say anything. Maybe he was scared. Because he knew, I got to go back and live with these people. I'm not going to tell them, I'm not going to tell my dad these people are hurting me. I got to go back to this crazy bitch. Her and her crazy ass husband. I'm not going to tell her nothing. I'm not going to tell nobody nothing. But the grandmother knew. And you know I had a problem with that. Because I thought, you knew that this boy was not happy and you didn't say nothing to Seth. I had a problem with that. So obviously the child was scared to talk. And perhaps Sebastian would be here today had he told Seth, I don't want to go back there. Please don't make me go. I ain't going back. I ain't going back there. Perhaps this child will be here today. So when you factor in, he's had a conversation with the grandmother. He made it apparent to Seth he was not happy, but he wouldn't go into details with Seth. Seth and Katie and Christopher have talked about a group home setting, but they were at odds about rumors of how bad those places were. I know of one of those places. Everybody here in my area knows of one of those places. It's not a good place. So that ain't no lie. These are all precursors to a child now missing. The mother and stepfather stopped talking to Seth. Never did any more interviews. Only running to YouTube to jump on fucking channels and panels, pretending to be other people in the chat. See, all of these is showing you there's something wrong with these people. And you can't sit up here and act like, oh, well, don't mean they're a murderer. Well, they don't make them good parents either. How about that? I don't trust nobody that don't advocate for their kid. I see people advocating for their family members, and their family members have been missing 20 years, 30 fucking years, and they're still advocating for them. What's her problem? What's her problem? You now want to give an interview to the news almost a year later. For what? You've been absentee from the news, the radio, public speaking about Sebastian, and now it's a year later. Oh, well, I think I'll talk to the news. And tell us what? What the fuck do you have to tell us? You know what she's going to tell us? Another version. That's what Katie Proudfoot's going to tell us. And just like I said in my last live stream, feel free to check out the last two. Man, these people are chameleons. You don't know people. You're looking at a nice house, nice street, nice cars, but that ain't shit. You don't know what the fuck is going on with people behind closed doors. Pontiac, Michigan, prime example. And I'm going to talk about that case until I'm dead. 3 kids left in a condo in squalor and shit-filled fucking apartment. Hair matted, toenails so long the girls couldn't walk, and nobody knew, allegedly. That's my point. You don't know people. That bitch left her kids to die in that fucking apartment. No food, no running water. They're boo-booing in the bathroom, boo-booing in a tub. Toilet overran, can't even use the bathroom. Clothes soiled with bowel movement. And you gonna tell me You know this chick? You don't know nobody. Because any of us can check out from life. You get tired, you get fed up. Don't mean it's right. But people get fed up and check out of life every fucking day. And people check out of child rearing every day. They don't want to keep taking care of their kids. Whether it's abuse that they've suffered, they didn't get what they needed as a kid. And that's another thing people need to understand. Allegedly, Katie had a fucked up life. So maybe she don't have nothing in her. She's empty. And I'm not making excuses for her. I'm just saying. It's common sense. You can't send a kid out in the world empty. They become an adult and you expect them to know, well, hey, do right now. No, don't work like that. She could have left that kid with Seth. That's the point. She had the opportunity when he was smaller. Hey, this isn't for me. Hey, this ain't working out. But she probably kept the kid because she's worried about what people were going to think of her. That's why a lot of people keep their children. It ain't because they want to keep them. It's because they want to be perceived a certain way in the eyes of strangers, eyes of friends and family. What would people think if they knew I gave my kid up for adoption? I put my kid in foster care. I let the other parent raise them. I don't want people judging me. I think that's what Katie did. She rode that donkey ride for a while. And, and for all I know, she may have started out, when she finally came home from the military, she tried to bond with the kid. She maybe bonded, didn't bond. I don't know because I wasn't there. But somewhere down the road, shit went terribly wrong. And now we have a whole missing fucking kid. And I don't see any remorse from her or Christopher Proudfoot. And like I said in my previous lives, whenever you have a parent or parent that stopped talking to the other parent after a child goes missing, they're already telling you what time of day it is. You got something to hide. You cut off Seth because you already cut off that kid. You got rid of Sebastian, so there was no need in talking to Seth. Checkmate. You all better wake up. I'm woke. I'm done with the kid. I don't need Seth. What do I have to talk to Seth Rogers about? I done got rid of the fucking kid. It's nothing to talk about. And she and Christopher are so brazen, they knew that people were talking about them on social media, YouTube. They didn't even care. They didn't even care to say, well, let's pretend to care for the kid and talk to Seth and act like we're looking for him. You know what I'm saying? You must carry you in my chat. Most people will lie and pretend. Okay, I'll hand out flyers. I'll act concerned. Not this Jezebel. They knocked that kid off, got rid of that kid, and she ain't looked back. That's why she don't talk to Seth, because she's done. And people do it every fucking day, and you know what I'm talking about, even when there's no death. When people move on from relationships, they cut everybody off. They cut off friends, associates, sisters, brothers-in-laws, all of that. I'm done with your brother. I don't need to talk to you either. Everybody don't do it, but some do. I'm out. I don't need you. I ain't talking to you. I ain't with my wife. I ain't got to talk to her sister. I ain't got to talk to her brother. I ain't got to talk to her mother. I'm out. Well, why should it be any different with a kid? We got rid of the kid. We don't need to talk to Seth Rogers. Duh. We are done. I knew when Seth went to the news and said, she's not talking to me. They're not talking to. I knew exactly what time of day it was. I said, oh, yeah. This heathen got rid of her kid. You ain't got to like it. And now you want to wait February 25 to give a news interview? And your child's been missing? And you haven't spoken to the public since Nancy Grace? But your Teletubby, he's been up here on YouTube like a fucking dancing bear. He's been a fucking dancing bear up here. Taking people to court, suing people. Oh, I feel threatened. Oh, she's stalking us. Bullhorn Betty's the least of your fucking problems. Let's keep it real. Fuck you scared of Bullhorn Betty. Fuck out of here. 2 baby semi-tractor trailer. Betty. You believe that, you're crazy as hell. You have to be just as dumb as they are. If you killed a whole kid, how the fuck you scared of Bullhorn Betty? Checkmate. I said it, now what? You ain't scared of nobody. You can kill a fucking 15-year-old. But I tell you somebody you should be scared of, and that's G.O.D. Because that's God's child that you stole. And I don't believe he's human trafficked. I don't believe he was kidnapped. I don't believe he wandered away. I don't believe he was sold. I believe this child was unalive because, as Coffin Daffer said, the only thing you're banking on is the version from Katie Proudfoot that she made it home. He went to bed, made a noise. Next morning she got up. He was gone. Nobody broke in. Nobody broke out. He had no friends. He didn't hang with nobody. So where would he be going? Number 2, you work for a security company, but you ain't got no cameras and no motion detector sensors on your house, on your windows. I'll let that sit right there. To this day, we've never heard of any motion sensors and movement and the time on any door or window. And you don't find that strange? You don't find that strange? Oh, yeah, at 202-310-415, the door opened. Just like the alarm will say, front door, back door, checkmate. You living in a house almost worth $700,000 and you ain't got no fucking security. You ain't got no motion sensors. You don't have any motion sensors on your house, windows, doors, garage. You've never come to the news to say, we've got footage of us returning home. Ding, 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 ding. I'm woke. Y'all better wake up. That's the first thing I'm going to show you as soon as you start asking questions. Did I come home with my kid? Anybody listening? Hey, ma'am, did you return home with Sebastian? Hold, please. Let me show you the video footage of me coming in. Well, I can't see you in the garage. So then we hear this nonsense about somebody going to the garbage can. Well, then who was it? Show me the footage of somebody going to the garbage can. Let me try to make it out who it is. Then we go from that to the lights. Garbage can lights. People with flashlights. Police say, ain't nothing. Because I think it's time for you all to realize that you're not the ones investigating this case. And you don't know what they know. And we have seen this in so many cases of true crime. that when the indictment comes down and they finally charge the people with arrest, it all makes sense when they bring you the information. That what you thought you knew, you did not know. That maybe you suspected a person and they are the ones that's charged. But it only makes sense when law officials bring you the bang. And I'm suspecting that's the case here. They do have something on these people, but they don't have a body. And I've seen that with so many cases. Camille McKinney, Cal City Boys, Megan Boswell, Harmony Montgomery. There was a lot of evidence. You just didn't know it. You just didn't know it. Because what did I say in the last live or lives? You don't know what's left behind in the house, the bedroom, the bathroom, the toilet, the tub. Water in the tub, water out the tub. Water wet in the tub. The crevices of the floorboards. What's on the wall? Hair. What's under the bed? What's behind a dresser? Chest of drawers. Stay woke. What's in the washing machine? Was the washing machine wet? Was the tub wet? See, those are things you're never going to know. What's in the garage? What's inside of the car? Where was Christopher Proudfoot? Was Christopher Proudfoot actually in Hendersonville or the general area? Please check out that video from yesterday. Was Christopher Proudfoot in the house the entire time? Bingo card. Oh, shit. Come on with it, Queen. Bet you didn't think about that. What if you found out that Christopher Proudfoot was in Hendersonville the 23rd through the 26th? That he was in the house all alone with Katie and her son. And he parked his car somewhere else. At Mama Papa house. Or somewhere else. And he was there to help Katie get rid of her kid. Stay woke. Bet you never thought about that. That came to me yesterday during the live stream. Never even gave it another thought. Or he stayed at his parents' house because he knew what he and the wife were going to do and planned to do. Wanting faith, perhaps, didn't want any interference with this case. As he told the news lady in the first interview, oh, that case don't got nothing to do with this one. It has everything to do with this one. That woman didn't want you with her fucking kid. And then now, poof, voila, a whole kid in your house is gone. And you're staying away from your house where you pay a mortgage. Who wants to stay away from their house paying $3,000, $4,000 in a mortgage every month? Nobody. So see, all those things are relevant. CPS reports if true. Mom, stepdaddy not getting along with the kid. Problems with the kid in school. Him fighting and bickering Nina over faith. All of that is relevant to why we have a missing Sebastian Rogers. It is relevant. It's always relevant. Whatever's going on in someone's life and house, it is always relevant to a missing and or dead person. It is relevant. Katie Proudfoot, where is your son? Did you go home after the steakhouse with Sebastian Rogers? If you did not go home, where did you go with the boy? Where did you go with the boy? Why are you looking around? every fucking where in this video at the steakhouse. Who are you looking for? Was somebody there?
Other was her staring around, looking around, almost like she was on surveillance for someone. In addition, she was on her phone such a large percentage of the time, seemingly not really engaged with Sebastian. These were just a couple of takeaways. Julie, I also looked at the people around. Was anybody watching them? And there's other film footage that I've personally viewed that might give some credence to somebody else watching.
Coffin Daffer, what are you talking about? What video have you watched to give credence to this here? Was somebody else in the restaurant watching Katie Proudfoot and Sebastian Rogers? Had somebody followed them to the restaurant? Had somebody said something to her out of the way or outside of the restaurant before and or after leaving the restaurant? Did someone follow Katie Proudfoot and her son from the restaurant? Did somebody follow her home? But if somebody followed her home, how did they get in her house? Checkmate. Say it again, Queen. If they followed her home, how did they get her kid out of the house without alarming the alarm system, setting it off, child not putting up a fight? How would they know which room to go to? Come on with it, Queen, because ain't nobody listening. I'm woke. I think Katie Proudfoot took this child here deliberately and the entire day as a ruse to make it look like everything was great in the life of Sebastian Rogers, to give people and herself an alibi of having the child out and seen by others. She's looking around because she's nervous and scared because she knows what she's about to do with her kid, which is get rid of her kid permanently. How many people are involved? I don't know. Anybody waiting outside in the parking lot? I don't know. Followed her from steakhouse? I don't know. Took the kid, handed him off to somebody else? I don't know. Somebody lying in wait in the house? I don't know. In the garage? I don't know. Put him inside of the car after unaliving him in the garage? I don't know. Did she leave the house and dump him somewhere? I don't know. But I know he's missing. And I know that Katie Proudfoot knows more than what she's saying to the public and the police. And the one thing you have to always remember is that this is a version. And what she's told police ain't probably what she's told Nancy Grace, told the news, told her family. Because when people lie, they tell different versions. And I won't doubt that Katie and Christopher Proudfoot have fucked up, slipped up, and told different versions to law officials. And that's why Mr. Craddock knows something that's possibly prejudice against that bat right there. I will bring you that video later, and we're going to chop up what does Sheriff Craddock know that he won't tell the public. I somehow missed that video 2 months ago because I wasn't talking about Sebastian Rogers the past several months because I was tired of all the nonsense. But we're going to talk about that in a couple of hours. Sheriff Craddock, what do you know? What evidence do you have possibly against Katie Proudfoot, Christopher Proudfoot, or any other entities? Do you believe these two or one unalived this boy child, harmed this boy child? Any other CCTV footage of their cars moving about from Memphis back to here, up to there, wherever? What do you have? Where is the boy? Is he alive? Is he deceased? Is Katie Proudfoot the culprit? Christopher Proudfoot the culprit? You need to go back and watch the original interviews, 22 minutes long, and you will see the signs that something is not right with the mother and the stepfather. That when the reporter asks her questions about how she's feeling, she looks at Christopher Proudfoot with her mouth open. She can't answer. Why do you need to look at him? She's talking to you. She's not talking to him. There's times when Christopher Proudfoot would answer for her, which is a telltale sign that he didn't want her answering and talking. He's the ringleader, the puppet master, the Teletubby in charge. I said that because it's obvious in that interview. Let me talk. As someone in the chat said, I think she already fucked up. So that's why he was talking on her behalf. Then he laughed and chuckled when the reporter asked him about the other case, which is about Faith. And he says, oh, that ain't got nothing to do with this. Oh, but yes, it does. There's a whole lot to do with this case. Because possibly that's the reason why Sebastian is gone. You didn't want no interference with you getting custody or split custody of Faith. But we already know you really don't want that girl. You only wanted her to spite Nina. You didn't even want the little girl when the woman was pregnant. You didn't even want to visit the woman in the hospital when she had the kid. And then all of a sudden, poof, 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 you want to be a pawpaw. You want to be a daddy. And you lured that woman down here to Tennessee to kidnap her kid. So as I told people in the chat, if a person is willing to hold a child, kidnap a child from his own mother, her own mother, you would be the same person to get rid of a 15-year-old. Mr. Proudfoot, trying to keep that kid, knowing you didn't give a fuck about Faith because you didn't want her in the first damn place. And I refuse to believe you turned the other cheek and said, oh, well, I love my kid. I need to be a better daddy. You can't be a better daddy because you were already hitting her other kids. Come on with it, Queen. See, I'm woke. You didn't like her other children. You didn't like Faith. And you didn't like Sebastian. And I don't think, Katie, you like Sebastian either. Because your child came before Christopher Proudfoot. And it was a choice for you to marry him and date him. And Christopher has a bad track record with wives and children. And what I'd like to hear is testimony from the other wives of what their life was like with you as a spouse, and if any of these women had children, and how you treated their children. You see, it's always in the details. And there's some truth in the details. Someone said yesterday, I don't think neither one wanted kids, Queen. You might be onto something. Because we've learned this with many people. They ride the ride. They do what's expected of them. They never tell people how they really feel about them or about their children. Nobody's going to come out and just say, yeah, I hate my fucking kid, autistic or not. I hate being a fucking parent. I hate being responsible. Who's going to tell somebody that? Nobody. What they'll do is show you they hate being a parent. What's that old saying? I can show you better than I can tell you. And I won't doubt, as I said before, that Katie Proudfoot was just as mean to her child as Christopher Proudfoot. I believe they took turns. And I think she realized, I can't live without Papa Bear. I need him here. I need my man with me. I'm lonely. You ever had one person come up and talk about this case to the news on behalf of the Proudfoots. Not a sister, not a cousin, not a mama, not a daddy, not a good friend, co-worker, nobody. Why not? That's my friend you're talking about. She's a good lady. She's a good employee. She's a good this and this. Oh, he's a great guy to work with. Blah, 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 blah. You ain't heard nobody come up and talk on behalf of the Proudfoots. Why not? You all better wake up because I'm woke. Ain't nobody from Hendersonville to California met with the news. Court TV, Nancy Grace, WKRN, WSMV. Nobody has spoke up for them. Why not? And yet you are questioning if they did something to the kid? Are you serious? You all can't be this green. You can't be this green. Even the devil has an advocate or two. Why not Katie and Chris? Because nobody wants to get wrapped up in something they already know is foul. I ain't putting my name on that. I ain't getting wrapped up in that because somebody else knows the truth as well. It's only a matter of time of who's going to turn on the other one, or somebody on the outside decide to give up the goods on Christopher and Katie Proudfoot. Prayers to Seth Rogers to get justice and absolution for his boy child. The next video is going to be commentary from Sheriff Craddock and the research organization, And I want you to listen carefully to that commentary because I've spoken about that guy who speaks from the rescue organization. And everything's in the details and everything's in the wording. I always tell people, if you listen carefully, they're telling you what you need to know. They're just not telling you the details. And when I think back to this interview that I just found this morning, it takes me back to Cal City. When the sheriff in Cal City was being interviewed and the reporter was asking him questions about suspects and this and that, and what do you know, foul play, and he drew quiet. And I told myself from that infamous interview, I said, Sheriff knows something. Because it was written on his face. And we now know, a year later, he did know something. He knew all along that the parents had murdered the children, but he couldn't tell it in that interview. So I'm going to bank on the same situation here with Sebastian. The sheriff knows something, and it ain't good. That's why he said in that interview, I can't release it to the public because it would prejudice the investigation. And I'm going to lean on the fact that that means it don't look good for Katie and Christopher Proudfoot or one or the other. That's my commentary. Did this child make it home with Katie Proudfoot? Bring us a receipt. Somebody please bring us a receipt that he made it home and that he wandered out that damn door, front or back door. And if he wandered out, where did he go and where is he? Like, share, subscribe, drop your comments below this video. Follow the Queen on the Newsbreak app. I'll be back with live number 2. And we're going to chop up Sheriff Craddock's interview with the news. And we're going to ask Sheriff Craddock, what information do you have that you are willing, or shall I say unwilling, to share with the public? What do you know that could possibly incriminate the bio donor, Katie Proudfoot, her husband, or any other entities? Do you have a suspects in mind? Do you believe it's foul play? Do you believe the child is not alive? And will you be bringing an arrest soon? Thank you for listening. Happy Monday, everybody. Have a good week. You have been listening to the Vault XL.